Coming up on Mavericks Today, we are going to dive into some of the top storylines to watch ahead of Mavericks training camp, which is less than 2 weeks away.
October 1st?
October 1st. We're almost here. Harrison Graham, Jeffrey Cooperstein with you. Before we dive into those topics, help us out. Hit the subscribe button. We are just like a handful of subscribers away from 30,000 on the channel. Huge milestone here on YouTube. So if you want to help us get there, we would appreciate that. And we will continue to crank out content, the latest news, rumors, analysis, watch parties once the season gets here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
For free.
For free. Like I said, not many things free in life. Okay. Coop, storyline number 1, Dereck Lively, year 2 leap. A lot of people expect it. Obviously, we got to see it happen, but that is a big talking point heading into training camp.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how Lively coming into his second year. Obviously, the rookie out of Duke last season had a great first year for the Mavs. Was one of the big reasons why they made the finals. Started a bunch of games, came off the bench, played a variety of different roles, and I think he's going to be one of the most underrated centers in the league next season. He might be one. Could you name him a top 10 center already? I think you probably can.
Yeah, I mean, without having a list in front of me, I think he's in that conversation. He's definitely in that discussion if he takes the leap we expect him to take. So I'm excited for it. I still think Daniel Gafford's going to have a big role on this team, but if Lively takes the jump we think he can, I mean, is this the best 1-2 punch at center in the NBA? That, I think, is a discussion worth having. Obviously, you don't have a Nikola Jokic or a Joel Embiid, but just in terms of two guys that could start for a lot of teams, play a good role on this team, I think you got to be pretty happy and excited about the future of this tandem, and especially the future of Dereck Lively. And I think the future's now. We saw it last year.
100%.
Should be in line for a big year too.
What I'm curious to see is he played about 23 and a half minutes a game last year. I'm curious to see whether that goes up to about 26, 27, maybe even 28. Is he built for that kind of thing, or do they still want to split the minutes pretty much down the middle between Lively and Gafford and maybe throw Kleba in there as well? I think that'll be something to monitor, to see what Jason Kidd decides to do there.
Yeah, with the Kleba inclusion there, I'll be curious to see how often there's minutes in a game without Lively or Gafford, because for me, I want that to be hardly at all.
Agreed.
Personally. But I'm sure there will be some situations. But with Lively's ability to defend out in the perimeter, I'm not sure it's that needed. I would ideally like a 26-22 split. Lively gets 26 minutes, Gafford gets 22. I think that's a good breakup there. We'll see how it plays out. All right, Dinwiddie versus Exum. Obviously, as you kind of figure out this rotation here, if you're Jason Kidd, we know who the starters are expected to be. We kind of know the top 2-3 guys off the bench with a guy like Najee Marshall, and then whoever the backup center is, we assume. It's going to be Gafford. After that, it's, who carves out roles, how do those minutes get eaten up, and Dinwiddie, more of the floor general offensive type of guard, bring him back to Dallas, obviously. He can kind of be some instant offense for you, whereas Dante Exum, more of the defensive guy, can spot up, shoot, will run a little bit on the fast break. So they offer different skill sets. We know Jason Kidd likes guys who play defense, so that favors Exum, but we also know Dinwiddie played a big role here a couple of years ago and the best ball of his career. So if he can get back to playing near that level, it's going to be hard to leave him off the floor as well.
Certainly. It's a good problem to have if you're Jason Kidd. I think Exum showed him a lot last year as far as the defensive end goes, and he did show the ability to knock down the three, as we just showed you, albeit on limited attempts. I think this is going to be a healthy competition between these two that probably extends even into the season. There might be some nights where Exum plays a little more than Dinwiddie and vice versa. Just going to depend on the matchup, really. But I think these two are basically directly competing for minutes in a spot in this rotation. So I'm very curious to see who comes out on top of that eventually.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Is it one of those where it's kind of a split deal, or does one guy clearly have a bigger role over another? Is it matchup based? I think when you have depth like this, it's a great problem to have, but it's also, a bit of a challenge for Jason Kidd,
Certainly.
who at times has been criticized for his rotation, so we'll see how he handles it all. Who do you guys think is the better player? Type D for Spencer Dinwiddie, E for Exum. I think Spence clearly has more skins on the wall in this league. Exum was a better player last year.
He was.
Overall, so, it's really all about the here and now. It's not about what you've done over the course of your career. So let us know what you guys
Curious
think.
to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, should be interesting. All right. before we get to the next storyline, let us tell you about our sponsor today. That is Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. We got an awesome deal for you guys right now. If you get signed up today, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to create an account, and that code CLNS gets you a $50 bonus once you place your initial $5 lineup. Doesn't matter if you win or lose that entry, you're going to get a $50 bonus, and the way PrizePicks works is simple. You choose at least 2 players, up to 6, and take more or less on the stat projections out there, and if you hit, you make money. We got a little 3-player football entry. For the next 2 weeks, you still get the Caleb Williams half a passing yard deal. You take more on that, and then you pair that with other plays that you like. We're going to take Ramondre Stevenson, more than 67.5 rushing yards, a little Thursday night action. Same with Garrett Wilson, more on 60.5 receiving yards. If all 3 of those hit on a $5 play, again, to get that bonus, code CLNS, you will get $25 back. So get started today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS for the bonus. Pick more, pick less. It's PrizePicks. It's very simple. All sports available. Check it out today. All right, Coop, Jaden Hardy's last chance, and we're not framing that as like he's been some major disappointment. I actually think for a guy you got 37th overall, you've found some decent value. Now,
100%.
He hasn't taken probably the jump we were hoping for, but a lot of guys who go in that range never even play in the NBA,
Yeah.
so I think like regardless of how this plays out, I don't think it was a poor draft pick. The question is, does it turn into being an awesome draft pick? Because right now it's kind of been, it's been solid, but he's a fringe rotation player for a good team right now. So we'll see if he can kind of crack into that Dinwiddie Exum minutes. I think clearly, Coop, he's going to have to at least be adequate defensively to get in there.
Absolutely. And to be clear, I don't think this is Hardy's last chance in the NBA. I think it just might be his last chance with the Mavericks to make
free agent after this year.
Absolutely. After next year. He signed a 4-year deal.
Okay.
To make a true impression, though, because the Mavs do have an abundance of guards now with Dinwiddie and Exum. Hardy might be the most offensively gifted out of all of those guys, but is he going to do the little things? Is he going to hustle for the loose balls? Is he going to do the right things on the defensive end that earns him those minutes? I'd like to see it. Look, he showed some pretty good spurts there in the playoffs last year, so he's definitely shown ability to Jason Kidd, and he's shown that he can be trusted at times. He just has to do it on a more consistent basis, and I'd really like to see that from him.
Yeah, and those middle 2 series against OKC and Minnesota, he gave them a lift more than one time, so we'll see. It's all about consistency for him.
Absolutely.
He's a very talented player, especially offensively. Can you get more out of him defensively, and can he just be more consistently as an offensive player? If he can, he's going to have a chance. If not, he's probably out of the rotation more often than not throughout this season. Number 4, how does Klay integrate himself into this team? Clearly, from a preparation standpoint, he's already done that. He put that IG story out a week or 2 ago, studying the Mavs championship run.
Yep.
So he's clearly like coming in with the right mindset, like, hey, I want to get that 5th ring on my resume. And look, he probably views this as a little personal too, going up against his former Warriors teammates, Klay and Dre. Like, hey, if I can get 5 before you guys too, like,
absolutely,
that's a little leg up for me as well in terms of the grand scheme of things. But obviously on the court, how does he fit? What's his role? I think clearly a big part of his role is going to be catch and shoot, but is it more than that? Can you get something out of him defensively? Is he a part of the closing lineup? Again, these are all things Jason Kidd's got to figure out, but Klay has got to prove that he can have a hell of a role here.
Yeah, and I think you and I both think that he's going to be able to do just that, but there is a question of how exactly do all the puzzle pieces fit. Like, I do think he's going to have a lot of catch-and-shoot opportunities, especially on the corner, but what else does he do within the offensive scheme and whatnot? So that'll be something to watch. I think Kidd has a pretty good idea of how he wants to play him and what his lineups will be, but he also likes to experiment in the first 15 to 20 games of the season. So I think we'll end up seeing a lot of different things as far as closing lineups go and where exactly Klay fits into this rotation. I'm excited, man. It's very cool to have a 4-time NBA champ on your team.
I mean, look, whether it's in sports, basketball, football, any other profession, it doesn't matter. I don't want to say it doesn't matter. Even though he's been awesome for 13 years, this is a new city, this is a new team, this is a new offense. Like, it's a big adjustment. Like, just because you did something one place, there's no guarantee at the next when you've been that place for that long. So obviously we all think it's going to work. We still have to see it.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see him go on this journey. And if it works, this team has a really, really big chance to do something special this year and over the next couple of years. Take a little more or less prize pick style, 17.5 points per game for Klay Thompson this season. What do you guys think? Type M for more, type L for less. Give us your thoughts. And again, get signed up with prize picks. Okay.
Is Luka healthy?
It's fair.
I feel like that's a big question to ask. We ended last season where he was dealing with a bunch of different ailments, knee soreness, a little bit of an ankle problem. We know he had that chest contusion. I think that one's definitely fully healed.
No reports of any procedures. I did kind of wonder if there'd be a cleanup knee surgery at some point, but that did not happen, at least that we were aware of. How does he come into camp? How does he come into the season? Where's the conditioning at? So we'll see. That's kind of always a question with him.
It is.
But I also don't think the idea that he's fat and out of shape has ever really been that true. There was one year it kind of was. Can't remember. It might have been 2 years ago. Maybe it was the year they missed the playoffs.
They were bad, yeah.
But look, like how big of a season is Luka going to have? He's obviously going to be very good, but can he continue to elevate? I mean, he's a rare player, Coop, where he was a star right away, yet he basically has improved statistically and just in general every single year. Maybe a slight dip the year they were underwhelming, but I think a lot of that was just the environment of the team.
Correct.
And he was still awesome. So, can he find another gear? Obviously, if he can, this team's going to be special.
Absolutely. And look, he's played a lot of basketball last year. Between playing for Slovenia and playing for the Mavs, he played about 100 games. Didn't end his season until the very end of June, beginning of July. So hopefully he's taken a couple months off here and he's well rested and ready to go, because if the Mavs want to do special things, you obviously need Luka healthy. And I talked about that on the show I did earlier this week, where if he's not healthy, this thing just doesn't work. It goes as much as he goes, so they have to have him ready to go.
I wonder if early in the season there's a plan to play him like 32 minutes a game
as
instead
opposed
of
to 40.
38.
Yeah.
You would think with the depth you have now, you'd be able to pick your spots and be able to do that. Some, obviously, you're trying to win every game, but you're in this for the long haul this year. You're trying to win a championship,
no doubt.
You got to have that vision in mind as you go through this thing. All right, there you go. 5 storylines to monitor leading up to training camp. What are you guys watching for most? Maybe it's a position battle. Maybe it's a different storyline. Give us your thoughts in the comments down below. Coop and I will be reading him, and we will see you guys soon. Enjoy your weekend, and go Mavs.
Adios.